I pitched a tent by the lake on my own ranch, just to clear my head. By sunset, the HOA rolled up and called the cops, claiming I was trespassing. But what they didn't know, the entire lake, the road they drove on, even the ground under their feet, all belonged to me. And when the cops found out, everything flipped. This isn't just a story, it's a reckoning. I hadn't been back to my family ranch in nearly 2 years. Life had gotten busy, work, family, city chaos, but the lake on that property had been calling to me. It was where I used to go to clear my mind, where my dad taught me to fish, and where we'd camp under the stars in complete silence. So, I loaded my truck, packed up my gear, and headed out to the land I've legally owned since my father passed it down to me. When I arrived, everything looked just the way I remembered, peaceful, untouched, and wide open. I set up my tent right near the lake, fired up a small camp stove, and just let the fresh air take over. It felt good to breathe again, but that peace didn't last long. Just before sundown, a black SUV rolled up the dirt path and stopped about 30 feet from my campsite. Out stepped a woman in yoga pants and a HOA badge hanging from her neck, like she was the sheriff of the Wild West. She didn't greet me. She didn't ask who I was. She just started barking about violating HOA lake access rules and said I needed to leave immediately or face penalties. I was stunned. I calmly explained this was my land. The lake, the shoreline, even the path she just drove on were all part of my ranch. I even offered to show her the deed, but she didn't want to hear it. She took photos, warned me I'd be fined for unauthorized occupancy, and stormed off saying she was calling the police. An hour later, 2 deputies showed up. I greeted them politely, handed over my ID, and showed them the land deed. They were surprisingly relaxed. Turns out, they'd already been called to this ranch a few times in the past by the same HOA for similar false reports. After checking the GPS boundary maps and verifying my documents, the officers turned to the HOA lady and told her something I'll never forget. "Ma'am, you're the one trespassing. This is private property. The HOA doesn't control this land or this lake." Her face turned pale. She mumbled something about being misinformed and started walking back toward her SUV. But I wasn't about to let it slide so easily. I told the officers I wanted to officially report the HOA for repeated trespassing and harassment. They nodded and took a full statement. That was the turning point. The next morning, I walked the lake's edge and saw multiple HOA signs posted on trees, all claiming HOA members only. I took them down one by one. Every sign was technically a lie and a legal violation. I called my lawyer and we filed a cease and desist against the HOA board for illegal use of my property. Turns out, for years, the HOA had been using my lake as a community amenity without my knowledge or consent. They even charged fees to residents for lake access. But their lies came crashing down the moment I set foot back on my own soil. I had new signs made stating clearly, private property, trespassers will be prosecuted. I even installed cameras. Within weeks, the HOA issued an apology letter to its members, but I wasn't done. I charged them for back trespass fees, and every dime went into restoring the lakefront and turning it into a personal retreat for veterans and first responders. Sometimes, standing your ground doesn't just protect your rights. It exposes those who've been abusing them all along. And in this case, one night of camping revealed years of HOA corruption. If you enjoyed the story, hit that like button and subscribe to our channel HOA Voice for more real stories that stand up to abuse and injustice.